After many years of dedication and thousands of hours of streamed gameplay, Critical Role has amassed an absolute mountain's worth of lore. Hello everyone, welcome back to FraudOnTheTele. In this video series, we explain certain aspects of the overwhelming world that is Critical Role lore. In today's video, we're going to be answering the question, what is the Age of Arcanum? A mysterious ancient time filled with great works of magic and arcane technology, and oh yeah, a war that wiped out 2/3 of the population of the world. Just to note, this video will contain spoilers for like every campaign of Critical Role, so be sure to keep that in mind. We got a lot to talk about, you guys already know the drill, so let's just get right into it, shall we? The Age of Arcanum was the second age of Exandria and is largely recognized by its level of magic and rapid advancements of technology. Yet on the other hand, it would also be remembered for the hubris that came with this advancement, hubris that would ultimately lead to its downfall. Much information would be lost about the Age of Arcanum, shrouding it in mystery. This age would follow the first age, the Founding, where the gods expelled the chaotic elemental being known as the Primordials, as well as their fellow god kind, the Betrayer gods, who wished to destroy their mortal creations. Finally, a time of peace and calm had come to Exandria, as with the Primordials gone, the land was no longer in a state of elemental chaos. Mortals could finally live a life of peace and prosperity as civilizations were established across Exandria, beginning with the ancient holy city of Vasselheim in Isilra. Mortals would expand to the many other continents of Exandria, evidence showing many prominent civilizations existing on the continent of Marquette, which at this time, thousands of years before the events of Campaign 1, had a lush verdant landscape, much different from the desert wasteland we know of it as today. A group of humanoid mortals known as the Drenassar would come to live in the lands that would be known as Xhorhas in Wildemount. These Drenassar would be the ancestors of all goblin kind in Exandria, twisted and transformed by an evil betrayer god in the Calamity, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The Age of Arcanum is largely known for its advancements in magic, society, and arcane technology. Under the watchful eyes of the goddess Ioun, mortal civilization began to flourish. Mortal mages began to grow in power and understanding, many creating new works of magic. Some were even capable of creating life itself. It is believed that the Age of Arcanum brought the rise of many other species on Exandria. It is believed the first tieflings were created by a ring of Isilran warlocks who had fallen in with a group of fiends. Minotaurs were said to have been created by powerful mages as living weapons and guardians, while mage engineers would build all sorts of automated constructs and machinery for any and all purposes imaginable. At some point, mages began experimenting with broomstone, a mineral that when properly enchanted can be used to levitate objects. Today's video is made possible by YouTube subscriber D-Buns. You too can be like D-Buns and help support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing, as it really does help the channel out and help the videos in the algorithm, which ultimately allows me to continue to make these videos. And according to YouTube stats, which surely would never lie to me, something like 65% of you guys that watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. So like, what's up with that? Anyway, enough rambling. Thank you all for continuing to support me. Let's just get right back to the video, shall we? 292 years before the Calamity, the great war between the gods and men, which wiped out 2/3 of the Exandrian populations, a group of mages would settle in a druidic city of Toromunda, a holy place built atop Mount Igora. These mages, led by the powerful elf Emir Porco, lift the top of the mountain high into the sky using broomstone. Here they established the flying city of Avalier, a mageocracy which would usher in great magical advancement and prosperity for its people. Avalier would fly along the ley lines of Exandria, making its eventual return and landing on the terrestrial city of Cathmoira, which existed on the outer ring of the now topless mountain. Avalier would just be one of many of flying mageocracy cities that existed throughout Exandria during the Age of Arcanum, other such cities being known as Aeor, Kethesk, Lathris, and Zimnias. Most of them would come crushing down during the intense fighting of the Calamity. Zimnias would crash into central Wildemount, and its people would become the Zimnian people, while Kethesk, a primarily dragonborn city, would be rebuilt hundreds of years after its fall as the city of Draconia. Aeor, along with Avalier, is one of the most well-documented of these flying cities, arguably the most powerful mageocracy that existed. Aeor was a place of invention and magical advancement like no other. Like the other great mage cities, these Aor-made automatons, but theirs were special, referred to as Aormatons. These robots possessed true sentience and would eventually be recognized by their creators as equal and citizens of Aor. Many of experiments all kind took place on Aor, as at this time it was common practice for mages to push the boundaries of arcane magic. In Aor there were experiments with magical diseases, time travel, necromancy, experiments on the Luxem Beacon, time magic, dunamancy, travel between planes, as well as a variety of wartime experiments such as the Aorian Hunters, biological weapons created during the Calamity, which were capable of facing celestial, fiends, and fae in battle. At some point during the Age of Arcanum, an unknown mortal woman thought to be a powerful mage from Avalier would ascend to godhood, enacting the rituals of seeding, dethroning the god of death and defeating them. The god's name would forever be lost to history, the woman ascending to godhood, where she is now better known as the Matron of Ravens, the Raven Queen. The Raven Queen's ascension would send ripples across Exandria. During this arcane enlightenment, mortals would begin climbing higher and higher in their aspirations of power, many mages growing obsessed over their own mortality. Now, though, something had changed. This invisible barrier that was thought to be separating gods and mortals had been shattered. One of their own had ascended to godhood, casting down a divine being. And you see, many people wanted to follow in her footsteps. Ultimately, the Raven Queen's ascension would be the catalyst for the deaths of millions and the origin for one of the most notorious villains in all of Critical Role. Around 100 years before the Calamity, a great archmage named Vecna began amassing power, ancient magical artifacts, and secrets, killing all those who knew them. Eventually, this mage, obsessed with his mortality, would achieve lichdom, a mere step on his more lofty vision of becoming a god. Over many years, Vecna would amass a force and followers, eventually disappearing with them into the Shadowfell to conquer the ancient city of Tharanfala. Here, Vecna had amassed the knowledge to reconstruct the Raven Queen's rites of ascension, as he attempted the ritual of seeding to ascend to godhood. But the Lich would be stopped and defeated by a holy army of followers of Pelor. A Mother Mage, though, sometime later, would be inspired by the ascension of the Raven Queen and the works of Vecna. Archmage Vespin Chloras sat in his sanctum in the holy city of Vasselheim, a vicious man known for his vast wealth, knowledge, and power as a mage skilled in conjuration. Before Vespin sat a great magical golden bow, extending somewhere between 2 to 3 meters. This was no ordinary bow, a great holy weapon of the Celestials, a Solar. What Vespin would attempt this night would forever change the course of history for Exandria, as Archmage Vespin Chloras, inspired by the Matrons of Ravens, sought to follow in her footsteps that night, though this time, it would be different. Vespin in his hubris, like many mages of the time, believed if the ritual could be performed once, it could be done again, but this time, it will not be a prime deity that is replaced, as why would he want to replace one of the deities who is largely benevolent to the mortals? No, Vespin thought he could take the place of something more sinister. None would know the events that would transpire in the sanctum of Vespin Chloras that night, as the next day attendees would find the room completely torn asunder, no trace of the mage to be found anywhere. Vespin had attempted to bind the Lord of the Hells, Asmodeus, but the mage had severely overestimated his power and ability, the god sundering him where he stood. Unbeknownst to Vespin, though, he had set the seeds in motion for the Calamity, as his ritual had weakened the gate which held the betrayer gods in their prisons. Vespin would be revived as a fiend, and thrall and right hand to the god Asmodeus. He would work on the material plane, doing the god's bidding, eventually freeing his betrayer god masters on the flying city of Avalier. From here, the betrayer gods would unleash a surprise attack on the city of Vasselheim, beginning the many centuries of war of gods and men known as the Calamity. The Calamity would ultimately result in the loss of 2/3 of population of Exandria, the fighting forever changing the landscape of Exandria, as well as the many species of Exandria, as during the Calamity, goblin kind would be created by the betrayer gods, along with orcs and many other beings. At some point during the Calamity, the betrayer gods and prime deities would call a ceasefire in order to deal with a more, urgent threat. You see, the mage city of Aor had been developing many weapons to fight against the gods, both prime deity and betrayer god. One of these weapons was known as the Factorum Malus, and was said to be able to kill a god. Aor would ultimately be struck down from the skies by the combined might of the gods, its wreckage landing in the frozen wasteland of Eiselcross, where it can still be found today in Critical Role. For a full video explaining everything we know about the Calamity so far, click the eye above. There's just too much stuff to get into for the Calamity just for this video, but if you want to know about the Calamity in more detail, make sure you go watch that video. Ultimately, the prime deities would be victorious, sealing the betrayer gods and their fiendish allies away on other planes. Wanting to prevent another calamitous event like this from happening ever again, the prime deities would impose upon themselves self-exile, leaving the material plane behind them. They created the Divine Gate, a lattice-like structure that protects the world of Exandria from threats from other planes. With the gods gone and the calamity over, mortals would begin to rebuild their world, but it would never be the same. With the crashing of the many flying seas and mass death toll, many secrets of magic and arcane technology from the Age of Arcanum would be lost to time. Society in many ways would regress, the influence of the gods would wane, but many devout worshippers would remain, and over time mortals would rebuild. But many of the secrets of the Age of Arcanum would long stay forgotten, the age being regarded with reverence and mystery to the modern scholars of Exandria. And yes, I hope this video answered the question, what is the Age of Arcanum in Critical Role? Easily one of my favorite bits of lore information from the Critical Role universe. Obviously, there was a lot of info that we couldn't exactly cover in this video, or this video was going to be insanely long, so feel free to drop in the comments down below your favorite piece of Age of Arcanum lore or information. If you did enjoy this video, learn something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, then you will enjoy our deep dive into the founding, the first age of Exandria. As always, guys, until next time, stay safe out there. Peace, love, adu.
Story that might be, we wasn't supposed to happen. So much talk around us, we became numb to the yapping. It was like 05, got my license to drive, picked you up in my pop's car, went for a